Hello and welcome to the first tutorial on how to use GrandMA1 on PC with GrandMA 3D. This will be a very basic instruction video, and it's directed at people who have used lighting desks before, so they understand basically what a chase is, what the types of fixtures we're dealing with are, and how to patch. So if you're looking for something to completely start, I would not advise starting with MA. I'd advise starting with a 12 channel desk or reading, or MA is not the way to start. But if you're the type of person that fits the right criteria and you're wanting to learn MA, then hopefully I'll be able to help you. So basically what we've downloaded here is MAonPC1, which is on the left of your screen here, and GrandMA3d. They are separate programs. They're not one program like some lighting control systems, and they're both free. Of course, you can't actually output any DMX with GrandMA on PC without buying hardware, because otherwise they'd be giving away free software. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to pretend that we've opened both of these programs. So I'm going to go back up and load show and load a new show. So this is what you'll see when it starts up. It'll ask you whether you want to load the last show. We click no and we click new show, and it's going to bring up the setup menu. Now before we begin adding fixtures, you need to go tools, MA network configuration, and click leave the session and check that the IP address is right. If you're using two different systems, then you'll require to set the IP addresses as an external IP address, which you'll hopefully know, and you can check that by going start, command, and IP configuration. But if you're running on the same system, just check that both IP addresses are 1.20 and 1.20. If your MA3d doesn't have the little sessions thing when it loads, you can go view and go sessions, or you can just click connection status at the bottom. So we'll create session on MA, and then you'll see that the session has appeared here, and all you do is click join. It'll ask you to save the show, but since we're just basically using the normal file, just click no and wait a moment while it transfers a lot of nothing across. And then you can close sessions, and it's now live. The first thing we'll do is we'll check whether sync selection is enabled, which basically means if I select something here, it'll select it in MA. So yeah, so the first thing we'll do is we'll add a couple of 250s, Mac 250s to GrandMA. So we go setup, full access, and you can name your device layers anything. I'm going to name them by the type of fixture we're using, so I'll name it 250, and then from library scroll down to Martin or whoever makes your fixtures. And we'll set them as mode 4, and we'll go 5 of them, and we'll leave auto patch on for the moment. Auto patch, if you disable it, means you'll have to manually enter the patch numbers, but if you're doing your own show or you're doing a render, something like this, I would just leave auto patch on, because it's not very hard to patch manually anyway. But if you so desire, turn that off, and I'll show you how to patch things later. So I'll add our 250s, and you can see that the patch numbers are there, so these are your starting channels, and also the IDs, which are important. So the next thing we'll do is we'll add our 2 generics. So we'll call this one generics, and you'll locate generics under the brand _ generic, and it's got a lot of options for LED, RGB. Some of them won't appear in yours, like that's a custom one I've created, but we'll just select dimmer, and we'll set the quantity at 2. And you'll notice that it hasn't given it a fixture start ID, it's given it a channel start ID, and I'll explain that in a moment to you. So I'll cover manually patching, because it'll be simple here. You can directly patch, we'll do them one by one. You can directly patch by clicking that and then selecting what you want. So you can have up to 8 universes apparently out of MA on PC, but I know obviously other MA, like a proper desk, will accept more. But we'll select Universe 2 and set that to channel 1, and we'll just type it this time, Universe 2.2. So there you go. Then click Close, and it'll upload all that information to the MA3d. So there's our fixtures, you can see them there. So what we'll do is we'll drag them out into a line so we can tell the difference, because otherwise if I just run them up now, it'll look really weird. So we'll drag them out. So to drag them out, you go View, Assets window, zoom out a bit. The zooming out, if you right click, it gives you a couple of options. You really need a mouse with a wheel to do this. So all I'm doing here is grabbing the right hand mountain and moving it around. So most of the stuff you do will be a scroll out using the mouse wheel. So I'll scroll out to there, go 3D objects, and select our first 250, our second 250, our third 250, and we'll leave the fourth one where it's sitting, and drag the fifth one to here, and then grab our generics and drag them up and across, and grab our second one and drag it up. They're probably not going to be the same height, but that doesn't matter. Now you can rotate fixtures in this. If you select the fixtures you want and hold down Control, you can rotate them any orientation you want. So I'm going to rotate them on a bit of an angle. It also tells you the angle down the bottom of the window. I can never get things straight in MA. There is a manual way of doing things, but it's just a royal pain in the ass. So there we go, we have all our fixtures. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to turn off this annoying Z and X thing by going View and turning Help Elements off. And there we go. So there are our fixtures. We can run them up like so. But I don't want to have to select the fixtures from this, because you can just select a fixture and control it immediately here. But if you're running a desk and you don't have 3D running, then you shouldn't be grabbing fixtures, or you won't be able to grab fixtures from 3D if it's not running. So the best way of learning things is to learn them the right way first and then get lazy later. Cool. Alright, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add groups for all these fixtures, and MA will automatically do that for you if you go Setup, Auto Create, Groups, and it'll give you two options. You can either go by fixture layer, which are exactly the same this time, or by going fixture types. Fixture layer, creating them via fixture layer, means that if you've got, say, 50 250s sitting in 3 different layers and you want to control them layer by layer, it's a lot easier than controlling all of them. But sometimes it's also easy to just be able to grab every single 250. You can create 2 different types of groups. You can create single groups, or you can create all the odd and even groups. So we're going to create both, and I'll show you what they look like there. So the one giant pain in the ass with MA 1 and 2 is that the way you can set it up is different for every operator. So I'll show you the way I do it. It's probably not the best way of doing things, but for screen 1 I normally have my groups, and here we can see all the single groups and then just the grouped groups. But I don't think I need odd and even, considering there's only 2 of those. But anyway, so we can grab Mac 251, turn that on individually and control it like that without having to reference them here. Okay, so next thing we'll do is we'll set up our first screen. I prefer to go groups and then add something called Smart, which will take up, I know, 3 things, and to adjust the size of things in the corner you'll see the icon change. Just drag that up to 3, and then we'll add Pan Tilt presets by going up like this. We'll go, do I want to do colour? We'll do colour, why the hell not? And we'll drag it up like so. and we'll actually drag these down because I think Smart will want to use a bit more space now I think about it. You'll work your own stuff out, but every operator seems to set things up differently. I normally run with a touch screen, so I leave a lot of space, and I'll use larger buttons when I have to. Alright, so the way Smart works is it gives you all the parameters of the fixtures you've got highlighted. So if I select a dimmer, the only thing it's going to give me option to control is the dimmer. But if I select a 250, it gives me all the options of gobo, color, blah blah blah. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to set pan tilt presets and color presets, and in a later video I'll show you how to create scenes, and I'll also explain to you what all the buttons do next. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to select all our 250s, so we'll use the all 250 group, turn them on. You can either do that by pressing full/open or just click the @ button twice, which basically does the command of @100, which if you want to do manually is @100, enter. And if you don't want to use groups, the other way to select intensity is you go fixture 1 through 5, which is basic command line control, @100, enter. Then you'll see we've got a couple of navigation wheels. Navigation wheel will just go up and down in your groups. Level will be whatever you've got selected, say dimmer in this case, and then pan and tilt. So all I'm doing is holding my mouse button down and pushing. You can change the fineness of this control very easily in settings, which I'll cover in a later video. But anyway, here we have all our 250s that we've got under control. Yay. So we'll set them to the ground, and click store, and click pan and tilt. And the moment you've got it selected, you can rename it. So we're going to rename this one to floor. This is helpful when you're basically busking a show, you don't have time to program maybe the entire band, or you've got a couple of bands including a support band you've got to cover. So basically you set positions and colours and everything you need to be able to pull off any situation you encounter. And this is the way most lighting shows are done. They're not normally completely programmed unless you're doing, say, touring shows where they may do a whole previs of the show and then bring it on the road and then do slight tweaks. But I have a feeling that most touring shows will also have an element of busking in them too, because every show would not be the same. Anyway, next thing we'll do is we'll select our odd lights and we'll reverse them so they sit the other way. You can either select them manually like this, or you can select them through the odd or even groups. And if you click clear once, you'll deselect the fixtures. So select all our 250s that we want to save the positions of, and we click store. If you don't have them selected, it won't save the parameters. So if I only selected 4 and I press pan tilt save, it'll only save 4 positions. So we'll call this one reverse floor. So now we can go between them. I didn't save it correctly. Yes I did. It's just these two don't move, that's why. So what we're going to do is we're going to then select color and go green. And you can either do it via Smart, or you can add them to your color presets. Color presets are helpful if you've got different types of fixtures that you all want to be the same color. So there you go, now we've got 2 positions and we've got color. So we can now select all our fixtures, put them in position, and you'll see them move, and then I can slowly bring the fader up and add a color if I want. If you want MA3d to be a bit darker, you can go rendering and bring ambient color down, and then point light color down, and now all you've got is a complete black screen. So the next thing we'll cover, and the final thing I'll cover in this video, is your dimmers. So you'll see that the dimmers come up as dimmer 8-bit, and if we click twice, there they are. You can manually control them the same way, or you can go channel 1 through 10 and control them with fader control. fairly simple. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope to make more if there's a serious interest in it, but thank you for listening. If you have any questions, feel free to leave me a comment. Thanks.